Hi, everyone. This is not a top discussion. We're not having a discussion about a topic. We're making a review. Because why record something where we just sit down and talk when we can just make it a podcast and it's easier to edit that way? So I might be being lazy, but I don't really care. This is easier for me and a better way to be more consistent uploads. So we recently rewatched a series of unfortunate events, the movie, and this got us starting to think about the Netflix series that came out, and that got us thinking about comparing them.
Mm-hmm.
So then we grew up with the movie first, like that was.
I remember. Well, when do you remember? I remember watching it a long time ago. Like a
Oh yeah,
long
I
time.
remember.
When did it come out?
It came out in 2004, like a year after.
2004?
Yeah, it came the year after I was born.
Wait, seriously?
No, seriously, it came out. Yeah, it was on Netflix. We were having a movie night, and we noticed it, and we were just thinking, Jesus, it holds up very well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Are you sure it was that
Yeah, it came
long
out.
ago?
Yeah, it came out in 2004. See?
Where? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, the sets were like actually really cool.
Yeah, like you could tell that sometimes it was a little weird. Like the CGI was not the best. Like this when they try to
Yeah.
make this baby fully CGI, that's the moments I'm just like,
But you have to remember the technology was
yeah,
like
it definitely advanced until then, and now you can't even tell the
I didn't
difference.
even know it was that old. Well, I don't remember watching. I think I remember watching it when I was like a little older. Probably around Charlie's
I
age.
definitely remembered a few scenes because I think it just kind of stuck with me. Because I
It's
remember I did watch like a bunch. Like Nickelodeon used to play it a
mhm.
lot because that's a Nickelodeon movie
Mhm.
apparently. So
But actually, like I remember it. Like my first impression, like I feel like it scared me. Like I think I was scared to watch it. There were like parts where I think I couldn't watch.
it actually
So
got
I remember I
me.
was younger.
It actually really got me interested in the book series. Like I remember I actually after watching the movie I
What?
started reading the book series.
Oh yeah, I only
So
read those for AR points because they were easy.
I just remember, oh, a series of unfortunate events. That was like that movie I watched a long time ago. So I read that
So it
throughout my
was the
school years.
books and then it was the movie, right?
Yeah, the books were made first, and then the movies came.
Yeah, the
The
only
movie came.
book I remember is the Reptile Room one.
Oh
That's
yeah.
about it.
And then like when did the Netflix series come out? I know the Netflix
I think
series.
it said 2017. I'll look it up right now as we
Okay.
talk.
Basically, the Netflix series came out, and I remember we actually like binged most of it.
Oh, it was good though.
Good series, definitely. Came out in
Good.
2017.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that long ago.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so then we watched the series. We watched the Netflix series, which
Yeah.
I personally think is a very good series, definitely
Mhm.
one of Netflix best. But then now we have to compare them because that's something that a lot of people have been comparing. I've actually seen videos breaking down which one, why they conflict so much because they're both trying to adapt a book series that has a very set tone, and they're trying to adapt that into a into a like a visual medium when really the writing medium was it because it's all about inner monologues describing things that only you can notice if you're reading it.
Mhm.
So personally, I still think that the books are great. I
Mhm.
just feel like that the repetition kind of starts to set in after like you read like the fourth book and you're like, can't we just get something
Oh,
different?
the books. Yeah.
It always ends the same way. Kids almost get a count all off. And narrator's like, this could have been a happy ending, but he got away again.
Yeah.
So I feel like we should begin with probably with the movie because it's fresher in our minds. So
Okay.
I personally think we should condense down what the movie story was because the movie story is definitely a lot different from the book.
Okay. Well, we'll do like the movie key points.
The movie key points are simple. Baudelaire's become orphans after their house and their parents die in a fire.
Mhm.
And then they live with Count Olaf, a crazy guy who might be or may not be a part of the family.
I don't think he is.
Nah.
Yeah, they never really explained that part either. I feel like, but yeah. So for some reason he goes to Count Olaf because it was like
Your
your
closest,
closest relative, but not
yeah,
like blood close, but like your
yeah.
like
He's like
actual
their
distance
third. I think
wise.
he's like their sixth, six, removed,
But they said they
cousin
were
or
saying it
something.
as like distance wise, not like blood relation. Did you
Yeah,
catch that when they said
yeah.
that?
I got that, like physically
Yeah,
close, not
Klaus
like.
was like,
You know
they don't mean like
yeah,
distance.
that's some good like
Yeah,
that's
that was
some good
funny.
yeah, that's some good comedy. This film is
Yeah.
really good with comedy. I really do
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So there's that, and then
Basically after it turns out Conan Olaf is a horrible person. He wants to murder them to get their money, and then they get sent to family member after family member with Count Olaf not too far behind murdering them.
yeah,
Until
same
eventually
guy keeps coming back.
yeah,
Different outfit, but clearly it's him.
yeah, Jim Carrey is
No one
great.
listens to him.
Yeah, that's
Or to
actually
them, to
they
the
do
kids.
actually. I'll talk about the ending, which I think does a really good like job of like pointing out like something about the books. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to focus on the stories. And basically, the film basically is just a very short summary of three of the stories. They take the ending of the first book, they put that at the end of the movie, and they really shorten down some things. So basically, it's like a kind of like a. You can definitely tell that they were going to try to expand because there's a lot more parents that they go to. There's like 7 books.
Yeah, and then
Or
at
like
the end,
8.
and at the end too, it said only like chapter 1 of the Baudelaire
Yeah,
children. So
chapter
you could
1.
infer that they probably wanted to
They
keep
might have
going.
been going for a trilogy. That was like kind of like the big
Maybe.
thing because like Harry Potter and stuff came out
Yeah,
around the
but
time.
maybe they didn't get funding. I don't know. I didn't really
Who
read into
knows?
that.
Right
But
issues.
yeah, so that's kind of what that one is
The
about.
Netflix series is definitely a much more faithful adaptation. They dedicate about 2 episodes per book, so we can get like an expanse on all that. And well, it gets interesting. Definitely, I feel like they do a good job of fleshing out the people that watch them more because they have a lot more time dedicated to them.
And the characters I feel like are more developed, but that's because they
Yeah.
have the more. It's hard
It's
because
hard because it's a movie. You have a set amount of time.
yeah.
That's you gotta tell your
But when you have a
story.
series, you have
Yeah,
time.
you have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
But they definitely do a good. I think both of them make good use of their time. But I feel like that the movie has some pacing issues. I'll get to that. But overall, it's a much more faithful adaptation to the book. I think they just changed around some things, like giving Violet like a love
Yeah, and then
interest
there was
that
like
wasn't around, and like
yeah.
giving them that stupid kid. I did not like the kid. She was annoying. I didn't like her being part of the villain team.
Uh-uh.
She wasn't part of the team in
Who?
the books. That little girl that was like, oh, the orphans, they're so weird. Like that girl from like the boarding school. She was not part of the books.
What are you talking about?
She was just in. You remember the girl that joined like Count Olaf's like team? And I'm talking about the Netflix series. Remember that spoiled brat? She joined the
What?
bad guys team.
Who?
The girl that like made fun of like the Baudelaire orphans, like being orphans because like they went to the boarding school and that's when they met the other 2 orphans. Yeah, I
Oh.
did not like her being part of the team. I mean, like everyone else is kind of threatening, and like okay, so basically, I feel like that they just added in some things that I didn't like, but overall, it was a good way to like get the stories
Yeah.
mainstreamed and
Well,
like
I
introduce
thought we were
it.
just that. It's basically the same thing. It's a
Just
little bit. The order is a little bit different also
mm,
in the series, but
mm.
like we said, it's they have longer. They have more time
Yeah, definitely
to.
a lot more time to flesh out everything.
Yes. So anyway, so those are the two. If
So
you
those are
haven't seen them, we
basically
would definitely recommend both.
yes, definitely. Or if you want to just read the books, I mean, they're good
Yeah,
books.
it's a good
Just
story.
remember, this is very heavily spoilers, so if you did not see them, please do not watch.
Yeah, I
This
probably
is
should have
full.
said that.
I'll just put a disclaimer in the beginning of
Yeah.
the thing.
So yeah.
So basically, that's the stories, but let's talk about the characters. Let's talk about the main trio. We have Klaus, Violet, and Sunny, who
Mhm.
I believe I like both of them in both series equally.
Mhm.
I feel like they do a good job of representing what the author was intending via their very brief but yet very deep descriptions.
Mhm.
Basically, I like their kind of poetic
And they
intros.
stay true to their character
I
through the whole
absolutely
time.
love the intros of both series because it's almost a scene for scene recreation of the
Mhm.
book. A dark, gloomy beach with the characters just being themselves, and
Mhm.
then Mr. Poe comes out
Yeah.
and like representing a dark turn.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think that both of them have an artistic flair to them.
Mhm.
I just kind of dig the movie thing there, but we're going to be talking about the characters. I'll get
Mhm.
to why I love the aesthetic of both of them so much.
Mhm.
But I feel like that they do a good job with the characters and all of them because they never feel like they're just cardboard cutouts, except for Count Olaf's gang, which I feel like they could have expanded them more, but they do that in the
Count
Netflix
Olaf's
series.
gang is better in the series
Yeah,
for
like the Hook
sure.
guy, definitely. I feel like he's one of my favorite characters in the Netflix series because he has an arc.
Mhm.
Definitely interesting, but I feel like both the actors are giving it 110% in both of these, definitely. They really have to put their all. Like, I freaking love Jim Carrey. I think he's actually better than Neil Patrick Harris in the movie. I just feel like he does a better job of being this, like, guy who's all like, I'm the master planner, I'm the most smartest in the world, when really he's just a bumbling idiot who has no idea what he's doing. Because Count Olaf can be threatening, and
he's scary.
Yeah, he's definitely scary when he wants to be. I mean, like, definitely when, like, he feels like he has the upper hand, like that scene where he's just, like, sitting down the hallway, like, all like, do you have a hall pass?
Yeah.
And then, like, you just see her, like, close the door. He's like, I didn't think so.
Mm-hmm.
He's threatening, but I feel like Neil Patrick Harris never gets up to that moment. I feel like he's just kind of like a bit of a.
But I think he still did good.
Like, Neil Patrick Harris gives Olaf a lot of personality and lots of character and, like, little quirks I like. But I feel like the book adaptation was better done in the movie because I feel like Jim Carrey really brought that, like, bumbling idiot who can actually kill you to life. Yeah. He does a great job of that.
So they, like, in the series, they made him more smarter and.
Yeah, but also a bit more goofier and, like, always making jokes when in the movie, when in the book series and in the movie, he doesn't make jokes. He's more of like he's not self-aware. He's just like this guy who really believes he's like the big guy. He's like the best around. You got to respect him. He thinks he's king.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to go out of his way to prove it. Like, he'll murder you. Like, he literally drops their aunt into, like, a lake full of leeches and just lets her die. Like, he is
cold, ruthless.
Yeah, he's cold and ruthless, but the series does a good job of making him definitely that.
But
he's theatric.
I think with the series though, they could have make him as cold because it is Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix can definitely get dark, but I feel like this was like it's a different
more for
take.
Children.
Yeah,
I feel like
but I feel like it was kind of mismarketed because I think there was like interviews with like people creating the show where they were saying, "Oh, we're gonna go very dark and realistic with this series," and I'm just saying, I think you got the wrong interview because I feel like this was more of a bit more of a artistic kind of like interpretation of the books. It's a bit lighter in its tones and themes and ideas.
But characters overall in both, they're pretty good.
Yes, definitely. The actors are fantastic. And now we can talk about our personal gripes with each of the adaptations. The books are fine, those began out the adaptations. I just have a problem with the movie. Some of the things feel rushed. Definitely with the new Guardians, this film could have been it could have been over 2 hours. I wouldn't mind. Because it's a very long movie, but yet it feels like after you watch the first couple minutes, it feels like it goes by fast. I definitely would have liked it a bit more if we watched a bit of a longer film with some very slow scenes where we got to see the characters being characters. That's something that I think the Netflix series does, but I also feel like that they had to do something, but I'm just like, you could have extended that running time a bit more. We could have got more scenes explaining these new caretakers that they deal with, like how they're unique. Like Monty, the reptile man, is definitely one of my favorite characters. I remember I liked him a lot as a kid, but watching it again, he does have a bit of a personality, but he doesn't really feel like he has that personality that like I thought he had. It wasn't established.
In the series, though, they gave him a better personality.
Yeah, I definitely do like how they expand upon the whole. He's all like, "Oh, Count Olaf is just some guy trying to steal my snakes." Yeah.
So you didn't like the rush in the movie. What about the series?
Oh, the series does a better job overall.
No, what do you not like?
Oh, the series.
We're talking about what we don't like.
Well, in the series, I feel like some things could have been. Well, I feel like it just kind of really really get like. I'm trying to think of the word to explain it without trying to come off as rude. It gets kind of boring sometimes. It definitely feels. Sometimes it just feels like filler. Like
it is repetitive because like you said, it's 2 episodes.
Like the bully wasn't like the bully character wasn't needed. She was a good one-off antagonist. She was just that, a one-off antagonist. She barely even appeared in the book. I think she appeared for like a couple chapters.
So you don't like the repetition?
Repetition can.
You know exactly.
I feel like if they wanted to, they definitely should have condensed down some stories. And I feel like I did not like the secret agency plot. That really got on me. That really got at me.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's what I don't like in the movie. I don't like the introduction of the secret organization because I feel like it's never really explained.
they spent too much time on it.
Yeah,
in the
it's like
Netflix series.
okay, so we know that they are putting out these fires and
The
that there's these
authors,
fires starting,
the
but we're not
authors,
explained why Count Olaf did it.
yeah.
What, he did it for the fortune, but why
How
were the
did
other people
he
burned?
light all the other houses on fire?
Yeah, is it
They
just
kind of like are
him?
trying to imply that
Or
he killed all of them, but I'm like, it's a house. It can't move
but I was like, that
around.
doesn't make sense. Yeah, and then
Like,
it's like,
how did
oh,
they have the
so
blueprints for his house, the
yeah.
tower thing?
Or these groups like just met because they wanted to start putting out
Like, I think
fires?
the
Are they
Netflix series tries
firefighters?
to expand upon it, but I think they just went way too
Yeah,
far.
okay.
It's like a secret agency, and like the
Yeah.
author's brother was like part of it.
So that's my problem with that, with
Yeah.
the movie. It's just, I'm like, if you're gonna introduce a secret organization, then you need to expand on that because
Uh,
I didn't answer all my
it doesn't feel
questions.
like it fits in the universe.
Yeah,
I
it
think
felt like
if
it
you
was just
had,
there.
yeah, I feel like in the books they barely mention it. It's more like a family thing.
Mhm.
It's just like a very connected family
Mhm.
that's kind of secret agency, but not really. In the book series, they barely know anything about the agency. They just know that there's something going on, but they don't really care about
Yeah,
it. They're
and
just trying to
that
survive.
was kind of where the movie I think took off. But like
Yeah,
for me, I don't know. I like the mystery. I want to know the
I
answers. That's me. For the
if I
series,
had to adapt the series, I would take out the organization unless you really, really want to
for
expand
the
upon it.
series, I agree with you. I think they went way too far with it, and it was kind of like really
Like having
unrealistic.
entire episodes dedicated to Count Olaf heading back to the organization and like
Yeah, and
raiding the
then
files, which is
it
I
was
don't know.
like
That doesn't feel like as
repetitive.
it got kind of too big for itself sometimes.
Yeah,
It
I
felt
don't
like it
know.
was trying to expand into a larger universe when the
So
books were
I
not
just
about
think the
that.
whole secret organization thing needed to be worked with in both
Yes.
because it can. I feel like it made and broke it.
It made things interesting, but it also broke those things that we thought were interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know,
It was a
but that was
very
just
it was a
me.
very build them up, knock them down, but it felt like when they knocked them down, it did it a bit too
Yeah, I don't
bad.
know. That was just my opinion. That's what I don't like about it.
Okay, so let me talk about what I like a bit more about the movie than the series. I like the series; it's good. I like the color palette. It can get very pretty sometimes, like
Mhm.
purples and yellows and blues all mixing together, like on when they're with their aunt, and like
Mhm.
you just see that beautiful sunset. I feel like with the movie, I kind of dig that aesthetic a bit more because it fits more with the story and like the book art
Mhm.
because it's all grays and blacks and very dark colors. Like it feels
Mhm.
muted, but that's the point. This is like from the
It's
perspective.
dark.
Yeah, it feels like this is their world crumbling down. And in the series, the color scheme is good. I think it does show personality, and that's one thing I definitely want to see in a movie or TV show. Personality. Give
Mhm.
me something where I can say, "Oh yeah, that's the creator I like a lot."
Mhm.
But I feel like they kind of go a bit too far with their personality and characteristics of a scene.
Mhm.
Like the scene from the movie where the house is collapsing feels so gritty and real. Like everything that like she said would happen doesn't feel cartoonish. It feels like this could actually happen if like an earthquake or something
Mhm.
happened, like a house that's like kind of like on a bridge or something, and like you just see like a fridge fall down, it could
Yeah.
kill you. The stove like burst on
And you're like
fire.
holding your breath with them. You're like,
You're all like, holy crap, I would die if I was in that situation.
mhm.
That is terrifying. But in the Netflix series, it gets kind of too cartoonish. Like, I really, really hate that shot where Klaus gets flung out the freaking window with like a carpet, and then he's just like staying at like a perfect like degree angle, and then freaking out of nowhere, the wind is suddenly strong enough to flip him back into the house. And I just remember I heard that interview in my head repeating over and over and over and over again as the guy's all like, it's going to be all dark and gritty and disturbing. This is going to be a dark movie. It's going to be dark. It's going to be gritty. It's going to be realistic. And I'm just like, bro, that's like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's just, if you want an aesthetic, market that aesthetic. The
Mhm.
teaser trailer for it was kind of misleading. There was a teaser trailer for the Netflix series that was very dark. It was creepy, it was gritty, and you definitely got the sense that this could have been more mature than the movie, but
Mhm.
it ended up being a bit more of a kiddie thing.
Mhm.
But I feel like that's a good thing. It's not bad to have a kiddie version of a dark story. Just make sure that you market it correctly and you do it correctly.
Mhm.
Because I can't say how disappointed I was after seeing the original trailer and watching the series, which is still good, but I just kind of felt like we could have gotten a much darker series out of this. Just
Again, though, I think it has to do with their audience, and they didn't want to just make it.
I mean,
for
Netflix
adults.
can have mature audiences. They have
No, I
R-rated
know they
stuff on
can, but I don't. I think they wanted it to be for younger kids.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think the theme song is not that good of the Netflix series.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sell grief. The original theme from the movie, and like it gives you that sense of grief.
But I feel like all of them are their grief isn't really realistic either.
Yeah,
because they don't. They in none of it they don't get time to be like, oh, this like I'm broken. Like they don't get to be broken.
Yeah, in the TV show they kind of have this weird like kind of distant feeling, which is definitely realistic for some people. Like you feel like you're not like part of the world anymore. You're just like walking around in it, and you're just like everything I know is gone. But in the movie, I think they have a really good scene where Klaus is angry because like they didn't plan for us. They didn't have like a plan for us, and like Violet's like, well, what about that time we sent them a letter and they sent us a letter and it just took a long time in the mail. And he's like, well, this time they're not gone. They're dead.
Yeah, well,
like,
that was
good.
good, but
Was,
they did. There was only one moment of that. There's no
yeah,
way
I
they
feel
only
like
have.
that. Yeah, but I feel like they kind of brushed over it too fast. Like the most of the scenes are good in the film. I just feel like we could have spent a little longer in them. Like,
and
couldn't we have a great scene of them just discussing what they miss about their parents? Maybe you can have them cry because
they didn't cry. They just walked in there and they were just like shocked. Which yes, you could be. Anybody would be shocked.
There's a very pretty shot that I really do enjoy where they're getting that final look at their house and it's reconstructed for them, and you slowly watch it fade away into the destruction, which is a beautiful shot, and I feel like does a good job of explaining what through the eyes of a child a great tragedy can look like.
No,
everything is normal until you realize it's not, and it's just death and fire burning everywhere. It's very artistic, which is something I enjoy a lot. I feel like though the endings are something. Well, they never gave us the ending for the Netflix show.
No, I felt like weren't we waiting for another season?
Yeah, we were waiting for like season 3.
No, season 4.
Oh yeah, season 4. That did not come out, so we don't know how they would have ended the series. Unless they're in the middle of like trying to get it back together, but like current events have sadly put that on hold.
Can we talk about Lemony Snicket in both of them? Because he plays two very different roles.
I think Lemony Snicket in the movie is a bit better. I don't like this
I don't know. I feel like you can. I'm gonna be honest though. I don't really think you can compare them because they're very different.
One is a narrator. Roles. One has a bit of a much more like a reminiscing thing about him. Like he's somewhat connected to the story. His brother died in these stories.
And the other one, he's just telling
Which I kind of don't like. Like Lemony Snicket in the books definitely portrayed himself as this guy who's telling you a story.
But then it's like, why is he telling us the story though?
I think they gave us like an explanation that like he's a private investigator in the movie, which I never finished the book series. I couldn't find out where one book was, so I would have been lost. So I just kind of gave up on the series. But but definitely it gives you like the feel of a private investigator kind of guy. Like he's just trying to give you straight facts. He's like, there's no happy ending. Count Olaf gets away. He murders people. It's very saddening.
But in the movie though, it does end good.
Except it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
They basically try to give you like this really happy montage of like they caught Count Olaf and they forced him to do everything that they caused the poor borderlands to do, and then it turns out no, he just got away.
Okay, yeah, but they're free, so.
Yeah, and they are free, but it is quite
seriously now.
Well, who knows? Maybe they didn't listen. Because Count Olaf has a great moment where Mr. Poe, the banker's all like, "You're a monster," and then Count Olaf's like, "Me, the monster? You're the people that never even listen to the children." And they called me out. Yeah, I really like how he calls them out. He's like, "If you guys weren't such like egotistical jerks, you would have caught me every single time."
Yeah,
but no, the big old adults are smarter than the children. Smarter than the average person. Ah, boo-boo. And then, like, there's that moment where you do get that feeling that Mr. Poe kind of is understanding them a bit more. Because he's all like, he's going to treat them a bit more like adults now. Where he's all like, I'll give you something to make up for this. Like, you're going to see your house for one last time before I take you away into the strange, poorly edited trees. That scene does not hold up. I mean, I like that. It's kind of like they're going into the light, like thing, like that symbolism. But I feel like that effect could have been done better. You could have just got some actual trees, but.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, the film has a pretty good ending. It ends just like the books. You get so much hope and you get so happy and stoked that they finally got away. And then you read it and then you see the final ending and it turns out no, Count Olaf got away
It
and
kind of
all the
reminded me of a
kerfuffle.
Tim Burton film.
It had the aesthetics. Can we talk about the sets here? I love the
I
sets.
love the sets too. It was awesome.
It was expressive and each one told a story.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best way somebody said to make a set is you make the set and then you make it look like it was lived in for 20 years and they did that great.
Oh yeah.
I
I
personally
like
love
when they're like, "What's for dinner?" They look in the cabinets. Nothing. 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 I guess it's pasta.
yeah.
Like it's just pasta poured out in the thing.
Yeah, I love the definitely they try to I think they gave us that Tim Burton style. I think it was
Yeah.
I think it's like I think if you had to ask me the best non Tim Burton movie
Mm-hmm.
would be the Addams Family, but for this it definitely was a good
Mm-hmm.
like remaking of his style cuz
Yeah.
he has such like they give a such a unique style like everything's like there's color
It's dark
like
and gloomy.
whenever something bad happens it feels like all the color drains from the scene. Like I
Yeah.
love us like
I don't think there was one scene in there where it was all colorful.
I mean except for the scene where they're meeting like the nice neighbor across the street.
But that's supposed to like say something like, "Oh, that's safe," you know, like that's
Like
all.
this is safety, that's bad, and you are going over
One thing I
there.
do like, you know, in the series though, they do actually use
They
like she
use
is
her
more of a
better. They
person.
use her better.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like that moment where she says, "What have I done?" has so much more impact because they bond.
Yeah.
And like in the book too, I felt that because like they
Because
like go
yeah.
over to her house, they like read with
Yeah,
her,
like
they
in
learn with
the
her.
because in the movie it was just, "Oh, well, let me know if you need anything,"
Hi.
but they never talked to her.
And
So it's like,
then
well,
yeah,
lady, you can't really blame yourself. They weren't really talking to you.
you didn't really know them.
Yeah, exactly. So what have I done? Like you wouldn't have known
What
what
have
you
I
did,
done? I put
and
these
that
poor
wouldn't really
children
have
that I
hurt
barely
you
know.
as much as like you. It felt like it would hurt you.
I mean, like, I understand that you're like, oh God, I probably did something very bad and illegal
And
here.
like she's like the only one that could do it. But like in
Yeah.
the same time she didn't know them personally like you
Yes.
said. So it's not like a it is a big deal, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like you don't feel it. Like in the other one she was like trying to get
Like,
custody and
yeah,
like
she was like arguing and like
the
she tried to
only one
defend.
fighting for the kids. And
Yeah,
this
she was
one
the only one that felt that actually like believed them and like there's that really really heart touching moment in the series that I still like get like that those like chills
mhm.
where like she's like well everything will be better now we'll relax we'll go inside
Yeah.
you kids can have a good night's sleep and then Mr. Poe's like well I have to take them to another family guardian and you just see that heartbreak.
Mhm.
It can get the series has those moments of adult
Yeah.
moments. I feel like that's what the series of unfortunate events is. It's introducing children to adults themes. Much like Ratatouille is, like Ratatouille is a very adult movie in my opinion. It doesn't feel like a kids movie.
Mhm.
This film, the series is supposed to introduce kids to adult themes like loss, greed, sadness,
Okay, wait. So
revenge.
going along with this, what do you think is like the top 3 themes?
The top three
Like what are the
themes
3
are
messages?
loss, grief, and courage. Courage to move on and stay together because even though you may lose some of your family, you still have your
I
family.
would put loss. I don't really think they did anything with grief.
I'm talking about like the series in general, like the books included.
Oh, well then maybe loss and grief would be the same category, but I would
Yeah.
also put strength in there because
Yeah.
it was literally like
Greed, no, greed is also in there because of Count Olaf. I think I would switch out grief with greed because greed is definitely a big part of the
I would do
series.
yours, but I would also pick like loss and grief. I'd put those in the same category. And then what was your last one?
My last one,
Courage.
yeah, courage. The
I would
courage to
put
have
courage
strength.
because and then it's strength, but I would put courage in the sense that all the people that like were with the children, they all like were putting their lives at risk and they knew it.
you always
They really
felt,
did know.
yeah,
Because
that
they knew someone was after them. Because they knew about the fires. The kids didn't. And then clearly they would have to know that everybody else is
you felt
dying.
like even in the series, like you get those like two agents trying to desperately get them away from Count Olaf, and like whenever they get close, they get pushed like
Yeah,
20 feet
and then
away.
strength, because every time the kids, when there's a high, there's an even
There's a
deeper
for
low.
every high, there's a low that's like 20 times deeper. It's sad.
And it's like, because
it's a
sometimes
mirror.
life feels like that.
Yeah.
It's like it keeps beating you into the ground.
But then you have those happy moments, and then you just get smacked
and then you
down
have to
again.
dig yourself out. Like you don't have time just to sit there and cry.
Yeah,
And they
that's
don't.
something that they've always been. They're getting moved constantly. They don't have that. They don't have a chance to, and I feel like
And if
that's
they give
intentional.
up, that's their life. Like it really is, cause
Like they work in a steel mill that only like gives people like gum as food.
yeah,
Like that's terrible. They get sent to like a freaking cult of crow people.
yeah, their parents die. There's someone looking after them, but that person never reaches him.
Yeah, it can get really sad at times. Like I remember I actually got like really like sad reading the books. I'm just like, this is depressing. This is a very cynical view of like
But like
media.
it's such an interesting and good story. Like there's not really anything like it, I feel like.
I agree
There's
with
not
that.
a film or anything to really compare it to because it's just so different because it maybe is it called cynical? Is that the right word for it? Where like it's upset, but they do it in a way that makes you not feel like depressed when you're watching it. Like it has like those quick funny little jokes.
It's kind of a
And then you're like you're
it's a
rooting for
very
them.
dark humor kind of film. Like
Maybe
they're
that's it.
like they are definitely not afraid to make a joke at something. Like they make a joke at
Or
like
is
the
it
ant's
what
death.
is satirical?
Yeah, it's
Is
kind
that
of
a good word?
it's cynical and
Satire?
satirical. I think it's satirical of like classic like, oh, it's a PG movie. It must be made for kids. But then you see these.
But it's not like those because usually kids movies are like you can do anything you put your mind to, like super happy, colorful.
But like in this
This
one,
is
it's all like you have to put your mind to it, or else you're gonna
yeah,
hit by a train inside of a car,
yeah, or in like
which is not gonna be good for insurance
yeah. So
unless you have a relative who is willing to profit off of it,
yeah,
who
it
is drinking a
was
kiwi lime watermelon soda instead of a gas station while you're gonna get hit.
yeah. Also in the movie, that part was really unrealistic. That was really cartoonish.
What, him drinking?
No, the freaking launcher head thing.
Oh yeah,
That kind of
What did
bothered
they do in
me.
the series? Wait, no, was that even in the series? I think they didn't do that in the series.
I don't think they had that because he
No,
got
it was mostly inside it, and you. Okay, I'm gonna say now the scene where Klaus gets slapped. Klaus? I'll just say Klaus.
Klaus.
Klaus gets slapped by Count Olaf feels a lot more powerful in the series, because you feel this tension building up,
Mm-hmm.
where like Klaus is like constantly standing up to Count Olaf. He's like, you're a terrible person. You're basically abusing us.
Mm-hmm.
And then Count Olaf like slaps him. And in
Mm-hmm.
this movie, I like that it's like this like scene where like everything goes quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the series, like he lingers on that. Like you feel him like constantly like rubbing his cheek as like he just kind of like tries to get back up.
Yeah.
And then in the series, he's just like, oh, like,
Yeah.
are you okay, Klaus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine, but I want to be better.
Yeah.
Like it could have, like the series definitely gives you those like moments of like, what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
I did not like that.
Or it's like, oh, like it like takes your breath.
Like you're all
what?
like, things just got real.
Yeah.
This is where you realize that they're gonna die.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like in the series there is like a sense of urgency. Like
Yeah, in the
they're
series,
running from danger. In the other one it's like, well they're gonna survive it, but like
at what cost?
it's not like someone like their person's gonna die, but they're gonna survive and they're just gonna keep going on, you know? And the other one it's like, oh my god, please don't let them catch up, you know? Or don't
I
let them get
think
close.
that while there are some very grounded moments in the series, I feel like that the movie was a bit more grounded, because when the movie was grounded, they did a good job of establishing there are consequences to your actions. Basically, I love it whenever they have to think their way out, and Violet's all like, "Oh, I gotta tie my hair up in a little knot and think it around."
Yeah.
Like especially that scene where they have to like drop it
Drill?
Where they have to
No one heard a word that you said.
Where they have to drop an anchor on like a wooden plank and like get the house like
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
I actually remember I kind of like held my breath a bit. Where like I'm like that's just gonna fall backwards and kill you.
Yeah, I do like that they like each kid like has their own thing and they all need each other. Like they needed Violet's inventions. How many times to stay alive? They needed Klaus's smarts to stay alive. They needed Sunny to stay alive.
Yeah, Sunny. Yeah, to be honest here, I kind of like that Sunny's like weird like teeth abilities were kept grounded. Cause in the Netflix series, she's like chewing rocks into like freaking. I
think
don't like it. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to do that weird kind of like sign, kind of like what's it called? Kind of like trippy kind of feel. Cause like it's kind of like this weird melancholy.
It's a weird concept.
Yeah, definitely a weird concept, but I kind of like it. Especially on that one it's the basically everything that will go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah, I like her like baby language too.
Yeah, I love how she's like, "You're the freaking mayor in that town."
Like it's so funny.
I love that.
And no one else knows what she's saying
except for like her siblings.
Yeah.
And even then, the family members they're just like, "Oh God, what's he gonna say now?"
Yeah.
She's the comic relief character.
Yeah, she's fine. True.
Sorry. I just had a yawn.
Why did you do that?
We're basically recording this at like 11:30.
Not basically, we are.
Yeah, who knows? It's weird. So basically, the series of unfortunate events has been adapted twice into very big mainstream budgetary projects. So I personally am a bit more of a fan of the movie, but I am definitely going to say that if they do go get around to making more episodes for the Netflix series, I will be sitting there with some popcorn, getting ready, but also keeping an eye on the back to see if anyone I know is dressed up Neil Patrick Harris. But I will say that both of these have a soft spot in my heart. The book series was something I like.
It's really refreshing because there's really nothing like it.
Yeah, it's definitely. I like darker content that's made for kids because you have to really get creative with how you explain it. Like in the book series, they constantly explain death in a unique way. Like they explain it like it's like going on a trip, but you don't get to come back afterwards. That's unique to me.
And like I like how they like how it's set up. I don't know how to explain it. I like how it's organized. Like I like in the beginning how they're like, oh, you thought you were gonna watch this very colorful, friendly little thing.
This little cute little elf movie.
I'm gonna tell you right now. If you don't want to be upset, turn it off. If you don't want,
there's a theater going on at 12. There's a theater playing the SpongeBob.
Is so cool.
Yeah, I really like how he acknowledges that. I like whenever the narrator comes on, cause
yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, you thought they were gonna be saved, right? And it would live happily ever after. How short this movie would be."
One of my all-time favorite scenes in this movie is literally when like the snake tries to like get them, and then like it's like, oh darn, my ribbon got unstuck. Yeah, that's funny. Allow me to take care of that. So anyway, where were we? Oh yes, the incredibly deadly viper leaped at the children. That's great. I wish more movies would do that.
Very well done. Very cool story.
So we're gonna rank them. We're gonna rank the book series. I would rank the book series.
I didn't read all the books, so I can't.
Well, I'll just rank all the books that I have read. First book, basically the first 3 books I would consider the first book a 7 out of 10. It was good. Actually, I would give it more of a 9 out of 10. It was good. Some things could have been expanded upon, but I don't really want that. Books 2 and 3 and 4 definitely get they get 10 out of 10. Those are some of my all-time favorite books. If I could, I would definitely make a giant book of them and just have like chapters, like each book is a chapter. And then after that, I would rank. After that, it really feels like they start to
very repetitive, same story.
Yeah, it starts to get weird. And then books 5 through 8ish. No, more like 5 through 7ish. I would really give it a bit more of first one, the 7, 6. 6 gets say 7. That's the weird mining one. I think it's just really contrived. I think Klaus has been hypnotized and now he's gonna try to sabotage us all. Oh God, no, he's gonna kill us. 7th book. It takes place in a hotel. That would get about a 9. It's a good one. It's just that I kind of wish they could have expanded on some things a bit more, and
So
that's all I read.
it's literally the series.
It's literally just a series, but I missed out on the last 2 books, so I had no idea what happened.
Okay, so now what are we gonna read?
We're gonna rank the movie because that came out next. I give it a 7-ish out of 10.
I'm gonna give it a 6.
Yeah, I give it a 7 because
Actually,
it did
7.
a lot of good things right, but
7,
it definitely could have done other things, some pacing issues, some
7
rewrites here
for
and
the
there.
story, for some things that they
But
put in there.
something I really like is the book
The
references.
characters. Um, also the fact that the secret organization was brought up, but they didn't actually explain it.
I actually really,
7.
really enjoyed how they the ants those lines where she's like, it could crush you flat, the stove can catch on fire. That's actually taken straight out of the book, which I really enjoyed.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, 7
So
out of 10
and
for me.
then the Netflix series, which I give a 9 out of 10. I think it was better made, but I still like the movie a bit more because, like, while you can't admit something was better made, you can still admit that you like something else. Like,
Yeah.
I like movies that are not well made. I mean, I watched Gamera, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Gamera!
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Oh, that's good.
I do think that some things were better done, but I think
Some
the whole
episodes
secret
get.
organization plot kind of does ruin it.
But for me, the first 2 episodes of the Netflix series get a 10 out of 10. From then, it's mostly
like the
just.
first season, 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I love that series. I think this series of unfortunate events will keep going, and I think that while the characters within the stories do not have the best of luck, what they do have is a very fortunate franchise that does not seem to be going away anytime soon. What I meant to say is, I hope it comes back.
Yeah.
Because this is a series that we kind of need right now in a world of just rehashes and retakes.
True.
We need something to spice it up a bit. Because while there is originality, we need something to kind of make fun of what we're getting. Just colorful, bright movies that don't really have much of a point to them.
Yes.
Give us something a bit darker. Give kids something a bit darker. That's what they want.
The story of the Baudelaire children.
If you want, I have an idea. If they really want to go down a movie route again, I suggest that they do what the Lord of the Rings trilogy did and get shot back to back, so that they don't have to worry about timing or issues. Basically, as soon as you finish up one film, you keep going. And I think if they do that and they summarize each big old chunks, like they get like 2 or 3 like stories from the books, cram them into like a 2-hour, or if they have to, 3-hour movie. I will sit through all that. I sat through Avengers Endgame.
Oh, don't even. That was such a good movie.
Yeah, basically cut them up into 3-hour movies, or 2 hours if you're not that desperate. And basically have those play like a year apart, or at least like until the very next year, so people can like get excited when they see the trailer for part 2 or part 3.
Yeah.
But if they want to go down the cartoon, the show series again, I would suggest going a bit down a different route and just making, if they want to, 1-hour episodes per book. So that way, or if you want to, just make an entire episode dedicated to a book. If you want to streamline it and just make it go faster.
They just need to make it longer to tell the whole story.
We need to get, but I'm just saying, choose what part you want to tell. Do you want to tell the kid story, or do you want to tell the secret agency story?
Yeah.
If you want to, make a spin-off about the secret agency so that you can explain all that.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to worry about
that. But the Baudelaire children,
their stories have
their story is not a good one.
It may be over, but it can be told, but it can be retold again and again.
If they can get up and keep on going, so can you.
If they can invent and think and chew their way out of a problem,
why can't you?
Why can't some Hollywood producer do the same? And also, just remember the themes of courage. You gotta keep going on, especially in these times. Because if you don't, you
could end up squashed flat from a fridge.
Yes, or on fire due to stove, or an ocean being eaten by leeches.
Or have a door handle in your eyeball.
Yes, I guess you can
say.
Or
get eaten by leeches.
Yes, or you could get killed by a guy with 2 hook hands. Or, if you're really, really unlucky, you could get told
or you
by...
could get injected with poison.
Yes, or if you really, really had bad luck, You could be told by some random guy who works at a bank that you're gonna go to some guy you don't even know who's like your 13th like removed
Or you
cousin.
could marry your uncle.